evening and a warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Hishain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya says the forensic audit report on the central bank bond scam will be tabled in the parliament. European Union stresses that the extension of GSP Plus is not automatic and highlighted conditions. News in detail. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya says that the forensic audit report on the controversial central bank bond scam will be tabled in the parliament. The speaker announced this when the parliament was convened at the evening today. The forensic audit report on the central bank bond scam was previously received by the parliament, and the speaker abstained from releasing the forensic report to parliamentarians upon the instruction of the Attorney General. However, at the meeting of the party leaders and political party representatives held at Parliament on the 13th of January, parliamentarians such as Bimal Ratnayaka requested that the audit reports be released to them as soon as possible since the Speaker has the right to do so. Meanwhile, civil organizations such as Transparency International in Sri Lanka also urged the Speaker to release the contents of the forensic report on the central bank bond scam to the parliamentarians and the public. Accordingly, addressing the Parliament today, Speaker announced that the forensic audit report on the central bank bond scam would be tabled in Parliament. The Speaker has also said that the report should be provided to all members of Parliament. Moreover, parliamentarians such as the leader of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, and State Minister Nimal Lanka urged the Speaker to have a two-day Parliament debate on the report. UNP parliamentarian Ranjan Ramanayake, who is in remand custody, arrived in Parliament today. Making a special statement, the parliamentarian requested the government to appoint a commission and study the facts contained in the recordings filed up by him. UNP parliamentarian Ranjan Ramanayake had requested Speaker Karu Jayasuriya's permission to make a statement to the House, and accordingly, he had been allowed 22 minutes. The MP, who has embroiled in a scandal involving leaked phone call recordings addressing the parliament, said that all those recordings were done with intention of protecting the good governance regime. He also said that the good governance regime, which pledged to catch the thieves, ended its term without keeping its major pledge. The parliamentarian also added purely his effort was to catch the culprits who are escaping from the rule of the law with the blessings of the politicians. He also said that by purpose he has hidden the copies of all phone recordings in several places, including out of the country. He further added that he also had the recordings which can be proved who are the responsible persons for the bond scam. UPFA MP Nimal Lanka, replying to MP Ramnayake's justification that call recordings were kept in good faith, questioned how he has sought sexual bribes from a woman who came for an employment opportunity. Former Minister and SLMC leader Rauf Hakim requested the Speaker to remove the offensive and distasteful words from the Hazard. 4 new ambassadors along with a new High Commissioner concurrently accredited to Sri Lanka presented their credentials to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the President's House in Colombo yesterday.
Accordingly, the ambassadors of the State of Qatar and Republic of Turkey as well as the Pakistan High Commissioner will be based in Colombo. The ambassadors to the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg and Slovenia will be based in New Delhi. After the presentation ceremony welcoming the delegates, the President spoke of strengthening bilateral relations and expanding on areas of common interest such as education, development, technology and agriculture. The new diplomats also expressed their commitment to uphold the long ties their countries had with Sri Lanka and work with Sri Lanka to develop on the common interests as mentioned by President. Thus, the diplomats who presented their credentials were Ambassador-designate of the State of Qatar based in Colombo, Jazim bin Jaber J.B. El Zarour. Ambassador-designate of the Republic of Turkey based in Colombo, Rakib Demet Sekersioglu. High Commissioner-designate of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan based in Colombo, retired Major General Mohammad Saad Khattak. Ambassador-designate to the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg based in New Delhi, Jean-Claude Kagner. Ambassador-designate of the Republic of Slovenia based in New Delhi, Dr. Marjan Sensen.
In a bid to transform tourism into $10 million worth industry by 2030, a 7-member top-level task force has been appointed. The 7-member task force appointed by the Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga has been instructed to submit its recommendations within 2 weeks. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that the task force was expected to identify problems faced by the tourism industry and offer solutions and implementation guidance on the future development of the sector. The team has also been directed to identify new areas to develop tourism apart from traditional tourist attractions. The 7-member task force is headed by Tourism Ministry Secretary Marina Mohammed, while other members include Sri Lanka Tourism Chairperson Kimali Fernando, Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau Director General Chandani Verapitia, Sri Lankan Airlines Chairman Ashok Patrage, Airport and Aviation Services Limited, Chairman G.A. Chandrasiri, Tourism Minister, Senior Additional Secretary Development Varuna Samaradivakara, and Tourism Ministry Additional Secretary Administration Deepa Sanasurya. Minister Ranatunga also stated that the ministry will implement a strategic marketing program to promote Sri Lanka tourism within a wide range of countries. The ministry has focused its attention on setting up tourist service centers, sanitary facilities, restaurants and all other essential amenities in line with international standards along the road network connecting major tourist hotspots. The government expects to increase the annual tourist arrival figure to 7 million by 2030, while also making it a $10 billion industry. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Information and Communication Technology State Minister Lakshman Yapa Abeyewardena says the previous government has misused the state funds using a fixed deposit to pay the monthly salary of the Central Cultural Fund employees. State Minister made these observations addressing the media at the ministry today afternoon.
Speaking at the media briefing, State Minister Lakshman Yapa Abeyewardena announced that the applications to recruit 100,000 unskilled youths to multitask human resource force is now accepted. He further added that though it was initially decided to include youth from low-income families benefited by Samurdhi beneficiary to this multitask human resource force, now it is being changed and thus youngsters from low-income families who are aided by Samurdhi beneficiary will not be allowed to apply. Meanwhile, the minister also leveled criticism on the former government, revealing a case where the former UNF-backed government had misused state funds.
Total cost for the monthly salaries of the employees of the Central Cultural Fund is 270 million rupees. Former government had been unable to find money to pay off their December salary, and thus the former government has paid the salaries of the Central Cultural Fund employees via a fixed deposit. Hence, 100 million rupees has been used by this fixed deposit to pay the salaries. Now we see that the former government has utilized money without the consent of the governing body. The UNF presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa was the subject minister during that period. Today there is no one to take the blame since there has been no Director General at the Central Cultural Fund over a period of more than a year. However, now our government has appointed a committee to probe this mismanagement of state funds.
Minister of Industry, Export, Investment, Promotion, Tourism and Aviation, Prasanna Ranatunga last Sunday said that the European Union's generalized scheme of preferences plus tax concessions to Sri Lanka will continue until 2023. However, the European Union office in Colombo stresses that the GSP Plus is not automatic and it is granted only if there is continued and effective implementation of 27 international conventions. Minister Ranatunga had a meeting with the head of Political, Trade and Communications section of the delegation of the European Union to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Thorsten Bugfred, and EU representatives at the ministry last Sunday. Following this meeting, the Ministry of Industrial Export and Investment Promotion, issuing a statement, said that the European Union has agreed to provide the GSP Plus to Sri Lanka until 2023. The ministry also said that there would be no change to the related observation process. However, pertaining to the issue, former Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva said that there has been no extension to the GSP+. Meanwhile, the EU office in Colombo, via a Twitter message, informed that the GSP+ is not automatic. The Twitter message further pointed out that it is granted only if there is continued and effective implementation of 27 international conventions related to human and labor rights, environment and good governance, and that the EU monitors this implementation closely. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa assured the licensed stockbrokers at Colombo Stock Exchange that the government would prioritize the development of the stock market to improve attracting investments to the country. Prime Minister gave this assurance during a meeting with the members of the Colombo Stockbrokers Association at the Temple Trees yesterday. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa had insisted that the prolonged decline seen in the Colombo Stock Exchange over the last 4 years would be reversed by the fresh policies the Finance Ministry announced just after the Premier's meeting with the stockbrokers. During the discussion, the stockbrokers had emphasized the importance of expediting demutualization of the CSC, an act for which is ready for submission in Parliament, and in return the Prime Minister had promised to table it in Parliament soon. Brokers also urged greater participation of pension funds such as the Employees Provident Fund and the Employees Trust Fund returning to fully fledged investing given the attractiveness and value thereby boosting the market. Brokers had also emphasized the need to have clear and sound guidelines for pension funds when it comes to selection of stocks to invest to ensure all stakeholder interest. The brokers had also emphasized on the importance of building trust in the market to attract more foreign investment and generate interest in the profitability of the CSC. Prime Minister reiterated that the government stands against privatization but will facilitate the business sector to strengthen the country's economy. Brokers Association President Kosala Gamage along with 15 others attended the meeting. Senior Economic Advisor to Prime Minister Nivad Cabral, Secretary to Prime Minister Gamni Senrat, CEC and CSC officials were also present. Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index expanded at a slower pace in December last year, recording an index value of 54.3 mainly due to the slower expansion in the new orders, production and stock of purchases. Meanwhile, as per the Purchasing Managers Index for last December, a significant slowdown in the employment was experienced, particularly in manufacturing of varying apparel sector as potential employees were attracted to seasonal jobs for better remuneration. Manufacturing PMI expanded at a slower pace in last December 2019 with an index value of 54.3 mainly due to the slower expansion in new orders, production and stock of purchases. All the sub-indices indicated an expansion yet at a slower pace compared to November 2019. New orders and production expanded at a slower rate owing to the slowdown in manufacturing of textile and wearing apparel sector. A significant slowdown in employment was experienced, particularly in manufacturing of wearing apparel sector, as potential employees were attracted to seasonal jobs for better remuneration. Although the new orders and production expanded at a slower pace, the stock of purchases expanded at a higher rate due to intended accumulation of stocks in December last year to fulfill the future requirements, anticipating supply disruptions due to upcoming Chinese New Year holidays. Meanwhile, services PMI reached a 24-month high to 60.2 index points in December 2019, supported by the strong expansion in new businesses and business activity in the same month due to the seasonal movement, political stability and measures taken by the government to improve economic activity. On the other hand, this is the 9th consecutive month that the index on employment of the services sector continued to remain below 50 index points, which is the threshold level. Stay tuned for stock updates right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 8.13 points to close at 5,914.33 and the S&P SL20 gained 0.73 points to close at 2,826.23. The turnover was 339 million rupees and over 13 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. That's all news for today, and log into our Facebook page to get the latest news and updates. Also send us your comments, views and opinions via our email address and hotline. With that, we'll be signing out for today and see you tomorrow. Until then, take care, good night.